Yes, I know. Another pathetic, desperate Friday night wasted on cheap booze and no women. And that's okay. We've been there. We've done that.
Or if you're one of our female listeners, no guys.
Saturday morning now.
Keep your hands out of your underwear.
Male or female. And just get a cup of coffee, get that greasy stuff going, the eggs, the bacon, the sausage. Sit down,
chew a few aspirin,
and enjoy your latest weekend edition of Sports Frenzy 2.0 with your hangover buddies, the Conquistador Dave Height,
and the maestro Kevin Crane.
Now, of course, as always, we like to start off banging the heads. Rock and roll, as always, first and foremost. So take an aspirin, because we're going to be talking about a lot of hard rock this week. Starting off with our featured album review, Black Star Riders.
Wrong Side of Paradise is the album. This stumbled upon the song Crazy Horses, popped up after listening to another album. I'm like, ooh,
a Spotify
I like
recommendation.
This. A Spotify recommendation. A good recommendation that they had in there. So we reviewed Crazy Horses. We enjoyed it. We liked it enough to delve into the entire album.
Yep. And we're getting a pattern here with that where we're going to do it next week as well.
Yep. We're going to listen to these recommendations because we need to find new music.
Right. Now we do have some stuff coming up later this year. Metallica,
Winger,
LA Guns, and Extreme. And so we'll have albums for you of the bands that
are
the tried and true. There you go. The normal villains
in our catalog.
Yep. But we are trying to expand our horizons. So now, of course, we talked about Black Star Riders, as Dave said, when we discussed Crazy Horses and did a little background work on the band. They are, of course, an offshoot of Thin Lizzy.
Yes.
Now, there are no original members left in Black Star Riders from Thin Lizzy, but they are trying to keep that spirit alive. And you can hear it. Probably, I'd say about a third of the songs on Wrong Side of Paradise.
Yeah, where you can find that influence.
Yeah, you can hear...
Definitely there.
Yeah, you can hear the lead singer sounding like he's channeling Phil Lynott. You can hear the dual guitars that Thin Lizzy helped to make popular. Now, I will say this. Crazy Horses is still my favorite song on the album.
Oh, it is by far the strongest, but I really enjoyed Wrong Side of Paradise to start
the lead-off
off.
track.
The lead-off track was very good.
And that's one that, to me, sounded like Thin Lizzy.
Yeah.
It had the Thin Lizzy vibe.
That old Thin Lizzy vibe to it.
I liked Green and Troubled Land towards the end.
That was my third favorite.
Yes.
So Crazy Horses, Wrong Side of Paradise, and Green and Troubled Land were my three favorites.
And I'll tell you what, we're very close, because I would, if you flip Green and Troubled Land and Wrong Side, those are my three favorite. Yeah.
Yeah.
Green
and Troubled kind of almost had that almost a Roger Kleinish vibe to it.
Yeah, there was something there.
Lyrics
there was something there. And I think what I want to say about Black Star Riders is going to sound a little contradictory to their mission statement, because obviously they are, again, trying to keep the spirit of Thin Lizzy alive. But I think with Crazy Horses and even with Green and Troubled Land, I think they are at their best when they're not trying to be like Thin Lizzy.
Exactly.
When they're Crazy Horses is what they should be.
Yeah.
That sounds like them being Black Star Riders, a new entity, a different entity, away from the influence of the legacy of Thin Lizzy. And I think that's when they're at their best. There's nothing wrong with songs like you said, Wrong Side of Paradise, Better Than Saturday Night with Joe Elliott as a guest vocalist.
That was okay, but it didn't seem to quite fit. That seemed almost like an outlier.
See, I still thought that was like a Thin Lizzy homage to a point.
A little bit, but...
And there's a lot. I didn't hate any of the songs on the album. I thought they were all decent to a certain extent.
Yeah.
But nothing really stood out to me outside of those three we've been talking about.
Yeah. Writing out the
storm.
Huh?
I like Pay Dirt. Pay Dirt
was pretty good.
A nice guitar riff.
Writing Out the Storm, I liked. The devil comes out when the whiskey goes in.
That's a good line. Yeah, I like that line. Writing Out the Storm is very catchy. The chorus is catchy.
Yeah.
But the rest of the song I thought was kind of pedestrian.
Yeah. See, now I thought Catch Yourself On. That was too poppy and probably what I thought was the weakest.
I thought it was the same kind of thing as Riding Out the Storm, where it had a catchy chorus, but again, the rest of the song was nothing spectacular.
Yeah. And then probably the other, Burning Rome, had a catchy riff, but that was your requisite country-esque song.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. And Hustle had a little harmonica in it. I will give Wrong Side of Paradise 2.5. 2.5 frenzies.
2.5 to a week 3 for me.
Yeah, I thought it was solid.
It's one I will listen to it again.
Yeah, I will listen to it again. That 2.5 cutoff.
Yeah,
is kind of where 2.5. I'll still listen to the album again, and I will definitely listen to this again. When you get up into the 3, then that's when I start talking about buying it, having it, being able to put it in the car and
going
to that next level of devotion. But no, this isn't bad.
It's got a couple songs that definitely are going to be in the playlist rotation for sure.
Yeah. So no, I can see where you're going with 3. I still stick with 2.5, but I would lean to that 3, like you.
The weaker 3, strong 2.5 to weakish 3.
Yeah, I'll go strong 2.5, but I can't go 3.
It's still worth checking out, kids.
Yeah, of course. And again, when we talk about how they are trying to follow through on the legacy of Thin Lizzy, that's not a bad thing.
No, it's not at all.
But again, they sound the best when they're trying to be their own band and not sound like Thin Lizzy.
Yep. Make the break. Go your own way.
All right, 3 songs for you this week. Again, a couple of these were recommendations, I believe, from Spotify. And then, of course, one. Let's start off with that.
Yep.
We've got to review LA Guns.
LA Guns, of course. The next single off the upcoming album is Shattered Glass. This one, to me, was kind of a disappointment coming after You Betray. I was not a big fan of this one.
You want to know something? Exact opposite.
Really?
I thought this sounded more like classic LA Guns. I was happy with this. I thought this was more of the Sunset Strip down and dirty LA Guns from the 80s.
See, now I was really disappointed on the vocals on this one.
I'm not saying it's like the be-all end-all greatest song of all time. And I'll still go where I did with Black Star Riders. It's a 2.5 frenzies for me.
Yeah, see, I went a 2.
Yeah,
this one just did not do it for me.
See, I just for some reason I just felt like this was more of the old school LA Guns. And we'll see, because the album's coming out here in a couple weeks, so we'll review the whole thing.
Yeah.
Black Diamonds.
We'll see what we get on it. So there you go.
Never any fun when Dave and I don't argue a little bit.
Right.
A little bit.
We can't agree on everything. That would just be boring as hell.
Yes, even though we've been friends for 30 years.
We can agree to disagree.
We finish each other's sentences. Every once in a while, things just don't go as planned.
And that's life.
And maybe that's going to happen here on these next
Deal with it.
I don't know.
Who knows? Should we hit Nita Strauss with Alice Cooper on Winner Take All?
Sure. And may I say, first and foremost, if you listen to this song, the best way to listen to this song is on your TV. Because when I turn on Spotify through my Amazon Fire Stick on my TV and listen to it that way, I get a big picture of Nita Strauss. And that's
probably the best thing about it.
So this means this is going to be one of those times we do agree.
Probably this.
But she's pretty.
She's
pretty.
very pretty.
And she can play guitar.
Oh
and
my
she's
God.
pretty. That's I'm telling you.
Her guitar work is.
She's 2/3 of the way to being my ideal woman.
Yeah, her guitar work is freaking incredible on this.
But it's
a generic.
Oh my God, it's generic. Oh my God, it's generic.
Got a catchy little refrain.
Now you mentioned
but
a great line from one of the songs off of Black Star Riders. I did like the little Alice Cooper line in here where he goes, "Victory hates company."
Yes.
That's a great little line.
It is. I did like the blood and guts and back again in the refrain.
But
overall, it's outside of great guitar solo in there.
And again, everything. This is her song.
Yeah.
Not an Alice Cooper song. He's just coming in to give her some help.
Yeah.
Prop her up a little bit.
Here and there. But it's
1.5.
I was going to go strong 1.5, week 2.
Yeah, I go 1.5.
I was going to give it 2 just for the guitar work.
I'd give it 2 if I get to see her picture every time. But
yeah, this was kind of a disappointment.
Yeah, and I understand why you recommended it, why Spotify bounced it off of one of the songs and said, try this. Obviously, because we're Alice Cooper fans. But this is just not one of the best efforts.
No.
From either Alice or Nita.
No, this one definitely falls flat.
And then finally, Elegant Weapons. I have to give you a little background on this. This is kind of a super group, quote unquote, that just formed. The thing that this was a recommendation for me on Spotify. The thing about it, when I did some digging on the band and looked, Richie Faulkner of Judas Priest is the lead guitarist. So I was like,
kind of his project.
Yeah, and of course we all know what he's been through the last year or two with the heart issues, having issues on stage, having to have surgery.
Yeah. Lucky to be alive.
I felt kind of felt an obligation to give this a chance. Now that he's gotten, and I'm not saying this lightly, he's gotten a second lease on life.
Right.
I wanted to see what he can do outside of Judas Priest. So, members of Pantera in here. Here's the problem. Now, I loved the song title, Blind Leading the Blind. Just, I know it's something that's been said before. It's a cliche, but it's just a cool song title, a cool image for the lyrics. But I am going to go back and say that I made a mistake. Again, I did this for Richie Faulkner. I did this because I wanted to listen to Richie Faulkner outside of the Priest. Remember when we reviewed the Michael Schenker group?
Oh, God. This wasn't that bad.
No, but there's a common link between the two, and that would be who I have now convinced myself is the most overrated.
Is this going to be considered the Yoko Ono of metal?
Same lead singer from that Michael Schenker group album that we reviewed last year, Ronnie Romero, is the lead singer for Elegant Weapons. And once again, like you said, it's not as bad as the Michael Schenker stuff was, but Again, it's a little generic. Now you can hear Faulkner adds a little edge to it.
Yes.
He props it up a little bit more. But Ronnie Romero is just the most bland, milquetoast, heavy metal singer I have ever heard in my life.
Yeah. Let's officially give him the moniker, the Yoko Ono of metal.
He brings
it down. If you had a vocalist with some balls that could have brought some edge to the lyrics, this would have been much better.
Yeah. Again, like you said, not quite as bad as Michael Schenker. It sounds like the rest of the band is ready to go.
Yeah, they just need a real vocalist.
Right. So again, I can't really...
I think David Lee Roth is available.
He's too busy doing old covers of old blues standards. Doing them well, as we talked about here recently.
Yeah.
But if I'm going to rip on Nita Strauss and Alice Cooper for being generic, I really can't rate Elegant Weapons that much higher. So
no,
I'll give it a 1.5 because, again, it's just generic, not much to offer. Again, a little bit more of an edge with the Richie Faulkner.
The music
guitar.
is there, but the vocals just bring it down.
Yeah, and I agree with you completely. This Ronnie Romero is just terrible. And somehow he keeps getting work.
I don't know why.
He's just bland and awful. Awful lead singer. Sorry, dude. You are awful.
You're 0 for 2 with us. That's not good.
Yeah, we saw the fact that you were singing with two awesome guitarists in Michael Schenker and Richie Faulkner, and you've somehow destroyed both of them.
Single-handedly. So, congratulations.
Please tell me that was your Yoko.
It was.
All right. That's going to pretty much do it for the rock and roll segment. I do have a couple little music tidbits here. We are going to, like with Black Star Riders, we are going to next week review the new album from The Cold Stairs, which is a song that we were recommended. This is all based on a song we were recommended on Spotify.
Yep. We reviewed the song, was it last week?
Yes. Got No Right.
Got No Right. Nice.
Which we like
hard,
a lot.
Bluesy riff.
So we're going to go ahead and review the full album. I believe the full album is called Voices.
Yes.
So we'll review that for you next week before we get into the Metallica, the LA Guns coming out in mid-April. We'll also review, speaking of Metallica,
title track.
4th single off of 72 Seasons. Yes, 72 Seasons. And sneak preview. I've listened to it. I think it's the best of the 4. Now, it's epic. It's long. I think we're talking like 6.5, 7 minutes long.
So we're going old school Metallica.
Yep. And then, of course, a new solo song from Pete Townsend. I believe it's his first solo song in a couple decades.
God, yeah.
Can't Outrun the Truth. So we'll have those two songs and the Cold Stairs full album review for you next week. Now, I did want to bring up this. It's sad news. I mean, not tragic news, but saw today that because of ongoing health issues, Whitesnake will not be coming back anytime soon. Right now, David Coverdale says he still plans on somehow getting Whitesnake out there for a farewell tour. But
at some point.
Now he is saying it will not happen till at least 2024.
Oof. Wow.
Yeah, he's got getting over a severe bronchial infection where he's taking steroids. And plus, he's got a torn rotator cuff he's trying to get through. Of course, we know Reb Beach, who has been in Whitesnake here recently, is now back with Winger.
Yep.
And they've got the new album and a tour coming up. So
that's going to push that back. So there you go.
Yep.
Get better, Coverdale.
Yep. So we hope for the best for Whitesnake. Then, of course, good news. We know that recently Gary Rosington passed away, the final original member of Lynyrd Skynyrd. They put out a release this week confirming that they will indeed continue on at least through this year. So our plans to see them with ZZ Top
is still a go.
Yep. So they'll go on with Richie Medlock and everybody they've got left in the band. Michael Cardellone on drums, of course. He's been with them for a while, ever since Damn Yankees broke up.
Yep.
So one bittersweet delay to a farewell, and one bittersweet where we're still gonna soldier on for at least a little while.
Yeah, at least through this year.
Yep.
To get through.
I wouldn't be shocked though if after this, the commitments they've got this year.
Yeah, they're gonna honor those, and then it'll be done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So if you want to see Lynyrd Skynyrd, kids, I recommend you do it this year. Because of course we know they are not guiltless when it comes to being a band that loves to say farewell tour. No, we're going to keep going. Farewell tour. No, we're going to keep going. But this could be the final.
Yeah, because we saw them on their 40th anniversary, and then we saw them on their farewell.
Right.
And now here they are again.
Yep. Yeah, and they are, I'll tell you what, I have seen them 3 times. This will be the 4th this year. They never disappoint. They are fantastic live band.
Great live band.
Even without any original members now left, I'm sure they will still put on a fantastic show. Just to see Freebird is worth the price of admission.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
So, all right, kids, that'll do it for segment 1. Rock and roll is over.
But it's here to stay.
Next up, movies. My sad rant about John Wick Chapter 4 and why we're delaying our review of it for yet another week. And of course, Dave, though, has a movie review for you.
New Netflix movie. Stay tuned.
Yeah, we got a couple trailers to discuss. We've got the return of Faces of Death to talk about. So, Dave and I will be right back.
Again, some things just should not be remade.
Dave and I will discuss all of that and more in our movie segment coming up next. Quick promo break, and we will be right back. She walked into my office just as I was reaching for the bottle in my bottom desk drawer. Legs till Tuesday, lips like pillows. I want to hire you, she said, to find Sports Frenzy 2.0. Doll, I said, that would be the easiest case ever. Sports Frenzy 2.0 is on Spotify, Anchor, Google, Apple, everywhere you listen to podcasts. She nodded to herself, sat down and smiled. I grabbed 2 glasses. Life was good. And so is Sports Frenzy 2.0.
All right, segment 2 of Sports Frenzy 2.0, the weekend edition here, dropping April 8th, 2023 as we record on the 5th. I'm the Conquistador, Dave Height.
And I'm the Maestro, Kevin Crane.
Grab your popcorn as we start to talk about movies on Spotify, Google, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, Amazon, Audible, Apple, Overcast, CastBox, and Stitcher! All right.
Well, first off, I have to apologize to the Conquistador because I thought I was going to get a chance to see John Wick Chapter 4. I did have legitimate reasons. I have told him my legitimate reasons. I do not need to share them with you people.
No, but they're legitimate. But you have a rant.
Yeah, I have a rant because here's the problem with this podunk city we live in. Now, you guys probably know where we record but I'm still not going to be the guy to specifically point out where we live and where we do our work. Let's just say that we have 3 decent-sized cities in our quote-unquote metro region. And I think combined, Dave can correct me if I'm wrong, I think combined, those 3 metro regions have well over 200,000 people.
Yes.
Okay. Why the hell, number one, do we not have enough movie theaters? You have to go with your family. Now, you enjoy the place you go, but you have to go to another state.
Yeah, we've got about a 20. We actually choose to drive across the state line, 20-minute drive. The theater we go to, small, locally owned, $5 a movie ticket. So,
and that's at night.
Yeah, this is anytime. Yeah, they've got the discount rate for earlier in the day too. But even buying our tickets online for the 5 of us, my wife, the boys, and my mom, the 5 tickets, $5 a piece, $5 convenience fee buying them online. But still, $30 for 5 people to go to the show.
And the concessions.
And the concessions are cheap. We had the 5 tickets. Everybody got a medium popcorn and a medium drink. We were all in for under $55.
Now, see, my problem is, again, we're talking an area with over 200,000 people. We have, outside of that, where you have to go to another state, technically. I know it's 20, 25-minute drive. I get that. But
no longer than it would take to get across town to one of the other ones.
Right. Across town, there is an AMC.
Bastards have tiered pricing. I refuse to go.
The only other option you've got in the heart of the retail district here is a Cinemark. Here's my problem, because that is within 10 minutes of my house. I don't mind paying a little bit more to go there, but how long has John Wick been out, Dave? It hasn't even been out 2 full weeks yet.
Right.
The geniuses at the local Cinemark decided that it's much more important to put Super Mario Brothers on like 8 screens.
Oh, come on!
As of today, as we tape on Wednesday, April the 5th, Super Mario Brothers and Air both opened, right?
Yeah.
2 new releases. Less than 2 weeks after it came out, John Wick, 3 showings on 1 screen is all they've got.
That's absolutely retarded.
3 showings.
That is stupid beyond belief.
So I looked at it and I was like, you got to be kidding me. I've only got those options. Of course, 2 are at night. 1 early evening, 1 late. So I've got 1 matinee right now, less than 2 weeks after its release.
That's stupid.
Where I can go see John Wick.
Absolutely stupid. Nobody gives a shit about Mario.
Well, it's going to make tons of money, I guess, but...
Why?
Because they're putting it on half the goddamn screens in a 16-screen movie theater.
Guess what? I'm not going to see it. I could give a rat's ass.
I mean, you look at the lineup, and we've talked about the fact that there is a lack of content. But for the love of God, you can't put John Wick Chapter 4 on a couple screens?
You can't give more than 3 options throughout a day?
Before it even gets into its 3rd weekend, you can't put it on more than 1 screen?
Absolutely ridiculous.
I'll make it work. I will make it work. Again, I apologize. I thought I was going to be able to do it this week. Circumstances beyond my control, good circumstances, have prevented me from doing it. It will happen before next Wednesday's episode.
There you go.
Before next Wednesday's taping of the weekend edition.
Hopefully they don't pull it from the theater beforehand.
No, I think they're committed, although, again, it's just that one matinee. I think I can, if as long as I go see it before next Thursday, which I will, I'm okay.
There
But
you go.
it's pathetic. Come on, second most popular movie out there right now.
And you relegate it to one screen. Shame, shame, shame.
But you have a movie review.
I do. Recently released on Netflix, Murder Mystery 2 brings Adam Sandler and Jennifer Aniston back as the married couple from the original. After the first one, where they helped solve the crime, Nick and Audrey struggle with their own PI business that they were quick to quit their jobs and start. They've got their issues, but lo and behold, their buddy, the Maharaja's getting married and invites them to the wedding on a small private island, all expenses paid. And of course, they jump at the chances they struggle. So, Maharaja gets kidnapped. There's no big spoilers. So Nick and Audrey have to come to the rescue and stumble and bumble their way through with the original cast. Most of the original cast of characters, their friends, help them squeak through this one. All the while, Audrey has to fight off the advances of a soccer slut, Francesco. It's what you would expect from a Happy Madison production. If you like the first one, you're going to enjoy the second one. It's not for you deep diving Mensa people out there. It's not going to win an Academy Award. It's just a fun little romp. The comedy, it's comfort food, kids. So going in, it's a 2.5. You know what you're going to get. It's fun. The chemistry between Aniston and Sandler is pretty good. They're good friends, and they work very well together.
Yeah, they've done multiple projects together.
Yeah, this is the third one that they've done together.
Yeah, because they did the first Murder Mystery and Just Go With It.
Yep. So they hang out from time to time. It's good. It's worthwhile. Do a double feature if you've never seen them. So if you got kids who are like 10 and up, there you go. Family movie night.
I don't know how I could ever be a platonic friend with Jennifer Aniston.
I know.
Good for Adam Sandler.
But have you seen Adam Sandler's wife? Yeah. It's a lucky, lucky man.
Well, and that's the thing. He knows he is. That's why you never hear anything scandalous about Adam Sandler, because he's one of the few people in Hollywood that's got his head screwed on right.
Yeah. He knows who he is, and he does what he does.
Yep. Always, even though
no pretenses at all.
Yeah, even though I'm not a big Adam Sandler guy, outside of the first couple movies, I respect and admire the fact that he is level-headed and he's able to handle the Hollywood insanity better than most.
Yeah.
So I've always respected that out of him. In other movie news, the DC, can we just put an end to this? Can we just give the current DC movies their fitting, timely death and move on to the James Gunn movies? Because I saw the trailer this week for Blue Beetle. Oh my God. Oh my God.
You want to hear the honest truth? I watched the first few seconds of it and shut it off. It looks so abysmal. I couldn't get through the whole trailer. It was so bad.
They gotta have their PC crap in there at the end, where, of course, it's a Hispanic family, Hispanic superhero, which is not not
canon.
accurate when it comes to, as Dave said, the DC canon. They talk about Batman at the end of the trailer. Batman's a fascist. Batman is the coolest fucking superhero DC has ever come up with. And all they do now is rip on him, call him a fascist. Gotham Knights, which we'll get to later, kills him off.
Absolute bullshit.
Because, of course...
Just stop the stupidity!
The lone vigilante white man, we're not allowed to have that anymore. So we will see what happens when Daredevil comes on Disney Plus with
we'll see
the
how
return
they
of the Punisher.
We'll see how they destroy the Punisher and deball him.
Oh, man. You want to see an epic rant? You want to hear an epic rant from me? You don't fuck with the Punisher. You do not fuck with the Punisher.
Batman's bad enough, but the Punisher is the shit.
All right, kids. Dave and I were talking off mic. We've been talking about horror movies. I am going to have a review next week of Terrifier 2. Dave might delve into the first Terrifier.
If I can get through one, maybe two, we'll see what happens.
But what kind of spurred us on here into this discussion of over-the-top, gross horror movies was the news that came out this week that this month, going in front of the cameras, is a reimagining of the classic, quote-unquote, air quotes, horror film Faces of Death.
1978. At the time of the almost height of the pulp movies.
Yeah, that's when we were still feeling the effects of stuff like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Last House on the Left, I Spit on Your Grave, The Hills Have Eyes. So this was kind of following in the footsteps of those movies, but tried to take things to a
more disturbing
and realistic level. Yeah. Now, it's going to be interesting. We can't get a lot of details. We've been trying to find details on this, again, quote-unquote, reimagining of Faces
there's
of
nothing
Death.
to reimagine. It was sick, twisted, and disturbing on many levels.
Yeah, now the original, for those of you who've never seen it...
Free on Tubi, by the way.
Is basically a pseudo-documentary about a pathologist talking about the many different ways humans and animals die. Now, there is some real footage in there. Most of it is exaggerated,
filmed,
enhanced. Of course, the ending scene with the monkey brains. If you fall for that and believe that's real, then shame on you.
Yep, cauliflower, kids. Cauliflower.
But there are some there's some real footage in there. I think the Audubon stuff, of course, when they're driving over 200 miles an hour and wrecking on the Autobahn over in Germany, that stuff's real, because think about it.
Yeah.
You flip a car.
What's going to happen?
At 200 miles an hour, what it's going to look like. So some of the stuff is real.
And think
most
about
of it's fake.
Safety in cars was not all that much back when this was done.
Yeah. I don't think there was mandatory seatbelt laws.
Probably not.
So we'll be interested to see what they do. And
actually, there were no seatbelt laws. The probably not was seatbelts in cars.
And no airbags.
Yeah.
No airbags either. So we'll be interested to see how they, pardon the pun, butcher Faces of Death in this reimagining.
Because again, there's no new ideas.
Right. And again, we're horror movie fans, so that's why we kind of got onto that topic, talking about Terrifier and Terrifier 2 and Faces of Death. So let's move on to Literary Frenzy, shall we?
Yes, why don't we?
David has a book review for you. He is the one carrying the load this week. Because
somebody's
I had no movie review. I got no book review for you. It's all on Dave.
So this week, I will review Brad Taylor's The Devil's Ransom. This is his 17th Pike Logan adventure, where the task force team is actually on an archaeological dig where they're bolstering their cover because the task force is a super secret U.S. government group tasked with taking out the bad guys as needed. So they're there when they get a call. They're the closest group to help an old asset in Afghanistan taking place as the Taliban are reinserting their control. And this Afghanistan gentleman, helped the U.S. throughout and now has a price on his head and has somehow escaped. And they need to get him back to protect him. All the while, ransomware impacts the entirety of the task force group through one of their shell companies, which is the initial trial run of somebody trying to take down the U.S. government. So not only do they have to save an asset, they also have to try and track down the hacker group to see what's going on. And it may or may not be somebody with former ties to the NSA. So Pike and his wrecking ball team, of course, do whatever it takes to save the day. It's fluff fiction. It's what I love. Lots of fun action, gruesome stuff happening. It's a 3. Pike Logan can't go wrong.
Very nice. And again, if I read 130 books a year like you do,
you might get through them.
I'd probably be jumping on that thing.
So, yeah, the Pike Logan series is good. Starts off with One Rough Man, where you introduce him and the characters and the team.
Now, we do have a couple topics when it comes to books that I wanted to bring up. Of course, I consider Dave my expert when it comes to books and free speech, since this is his forte. This is what he does for a living. Now, number one, no pretense, no fooling with this. I hate James Patterson.
Oh, he's the devil.
I've always said I hate James Patterson.
James Patterson is the devil. But
he is finally showing some balls. Now, a guy like James Patterson, who whores himself out, puts his name on every book possible. So, of course, he has the all-time record for most New York Times bestsellers.
Right.
James Patterson came out recently and said the New York Times bestseller list
for nonfiction
is not accurate. And he's starting to question if there are political agendas behind the New York Times bestseller list, like you said, for nonfiction, because he pointed out Mike Pompeo put out a book recently that, by all accounts, was selling extremely well, yet for some reason the New York Times would not put that book on their bestseller list.
No, it made the top 10 in sales as reported by Publishers Weekly.
But again,
it never made the New York Times top 15. It was in the top 10 of sales recorded by Publishers Weekly.
And of course, again, James Patterson is biting the hand that feeds him, because again, we're talking about the guy who tacks his name onto each and every book he possibly can, holds the record for most bestsellers on this list, yet he's calling them out and saying there's something hinky going on here.
And he is absolutely right, because his book, was it Walk the Line? Tales from police officers. Police officers telling stories about their careers, what they deal with. Since it had come out, it spent several weeks in the top 10 in sales as reported by Publishers Weekly. Never made the New York Times bestseller list. Books that were outside of the top 10 in Publishers Weekly's list of sales were in the top 15 of the New York Times bestseller list. Definitely skewed. And I applaud him. Anytime that somebody takes on the New York Times and calls bullshit on them, even if it's the devil himself, I applaud it.
And again, that's why we're bringing it up, is if James Patterson, of all people,
and he's self-promoting, but still, his book outsold a lot of what was on the list.
And again, it's nonfiction, and again, look at the subject matter.
In New York. There you go.
Now, of course, Dave and I have been talking about this kind of stuff for months and months and months. We've been talking about books getting warnings at the beginning, trigger warnings. We've talked about books being edited and rewritten. Agatha Christie and Ian
Removed
Fleming.
from shelves of libraries and from schools.
So now Judy Blume is the latest to come out. She has come out and said that book banning is, quote, worse than in the 80s.
It is.
And here's my problem, though. I don't have a problem with her saying that, but it always seems like these authors do this when it's convenient for themselves. You know, she's talking about how book banning is awful and terrible and it's worse it's been in, 40 years, 30, 40 years? Then here's the thing, Judy. Why don't you tell the people who are rewriting Ian Fleming, you tell the people who are rewriting Roald Dahl, you tell the people who are rewriting Agatha Christie, stop. I have a problem with the hypocrisy of it. She wants to go out and say that statement. I agree completely. Then do something about it. Stop the changing of the text. Stop the changing of the fiction.
The authors have gone after the British publishing companies who are trying to do these rewrites. They have banded together and gone after them and said, do not touch the original works.
Well, that's what I want. I want to see.
They are going out and saying, leave things alone, do not touch them. But some of these stupid ass publishers in the woke times have to feel they take it upon themselves because you've got a younger generation now coming in.
And of course, another ancillary story to this is that the latest book that's going to get a quote-unquote trigger warning is Margaret Mitchell's Gone with the Wind. Because, of course, it has depictions of slavery. Now, they're not going to alter the text, which I guess is a small victory, considering what we're dealing with in this day and age. But they're going to put a warning at the beginning of the book about, oh, this has content in it that
may be disturbing
people. But again, I don't...
Guess what? Whenever the news comes on, they should have content warning that there's going to be disturbing stories. Because the lack of common sense and the complete stupidity taking place in our government and on the news freaking drives me insane.
Yep. Absolutely agree. And again, the reason why I brought up Judy Blume and why I sound like I am...
Because her book, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, is being made into a movie
right,
now.
Which comes out here soon. And again, that is one of these controversial books because people don't like it. It deals, frankly, with adolescent sexuality, coming of age.
Guess what? Deal with it.
And that's, I stand by her words, but it seems a little bit self-serving to me. I don't have a problem with her standing up for her works. But if you want to stand up for free speech and you don't want book banning, then you need to be out there on the front lines telling, like you just said, telling these people who are rewriting Ian Fleming and rewriting Roald Dahl and rewriting Agatha Christie, stop, because this is in essence the same thing, in my opinion,
and the authors
as banning books.
And the authors are getting out there and contacting and sending letters and trying to do what they can.
And of course, the cowardly part of this whole thing is that you're dealing with the three examples that I've brought up. Judy Blume is still alive to enforce and to defend her work. But when you're dealing with Ian Fleming and Agatha Christie and Roald Dahl, they're all dead. So you're dealing with the estates. You're not dealing with the actual artists, the actual writers, the
and
actual
the estates
creators.
Could care less at this point.
Exactly. And that's what's sad. Instead of sticking with the integrity of the original work, they're selling out for a cheap buck. They're selling out because of pressure from the publishers.
Yeah, from the publishers and a small minority of people.
A very, very small minority.
Leave the jackboot fascists behind. Tell them they do not have the right to impede your rights. You decide what you read. You decide as parents what your family can read. These stupid-ass politicians and publishers cannot dictate to you what's available.
You don't want to read it, don't get it from the library, don't buy it. You don't want to watch it, turn the channel. You don't want to listen to it, turn the radio off. Wow, that made me sound a little old and dated.
There you go.
People still do listen to their... I know they listen to podcasts, of course, but...
If you don't like it, don't listen or watch it or read it. But leave everybody else the hell alone.
You have free will. You can choose to not read, to not listen to not watch things that you think will offend you, that will trigger you. But like Dave said,
and you know,
it seems like the country, the government nowadays wants to take your choices away from you.
I lean more conservative, and I'm really freaking pissed off at all these conservative asshats who are trying to take all this stuff away and impart their will on everybody else.
Yeah, we always call it.
It started in Florida, and this Moms for Liberty group need to go the hell away.
Yeah, we will always call it both sides. We'll call bullshit on the left. We'll call bullshit on the right. We don't care. If it's bullshit, we will point it out. We will make sure you know, especially when it comes, of course, to the entertainment world.
And don't let this parental rights crap fool you. That's what they're trying to impose. It's crap. If they say, oh, I'm running on parental rights, warning flag. They're trying to take your rights away.
Well, segment 3 is not going to get much better because, you know, we've got to talk about Perry Mason again and how that show is a perfect example of
the Della Street to hell.
Bastardizing a classic TV show, making it fit certain political and social viewpoints. So, with that being said, Dave and I will be right back with the third and final segment on the weekend edition. Hello, I'm James Cameron, prestigious film director. And since it takes me over a decade to make a movie, I've got plenty of time between takes to listen to my favorite podcast, Sports Frenzy 2.0, on Spotify, Google, Radio Public, Pocket Casts, Apple, Overcast, Castbox, Stitcher, Amazon, and Audible. Hey, wait, I'm having an epiphany. I have a new idea. Summer of 2035. Blue robots from the future on a doomed ocean liner. Oh, brilliant. Where's Arnold? Get me Schwarzenegger. What about DiCaprio? Oh, what about Edward Furlong? We know he's not doing anything. All right, kids, time to wrap things up here on the weekend edition. We have another 30 minutes, and then we're leaving you to your hangover. Get over it. You got the rest of the day. You got Sunday before you got to go back to work on Monday.
There really should be a day between Saturday and Sunday. Free day.
All right. Weekend edition, of course, hitting on April the 8th, 2023. Recording here on the 5th. He's the Conquistador Dave Height.
He's the Maestro Kevin Crane.
We have done rock and roll. We have done books. We have done movies. That leaves TV and streaming. Gonna just glance over a couple of the shows that we've been watching here. Glad that Dave has enjoyed Agent Elvis, which I turned him on to. I told him I was going to try to savor it a little bit more. And, of course, he had to do...
I finished it up last night.
What we call premature streaming.
Yeah, I was on the elliptical. Come on. I do 2 episodes while I'm on there going.
So I'm going to wrap up. I've got 2 left in the 10-episode season 1. So next week, you have that to look forward to. Dave and I will review the full first season of the outstanding Netflix animated show, Agent Elvis.
Thank you, Priscilla, for bringing this into our lives.
It is very cool. Now, of course, we've been ranting and raving the last couple weeks about how HBO Max has destroyed Perry Mason.
The legacy of the characters.
Yes, we're still watching it, but it's more almost like honoring the, number one, the original, even though this has no kind of resemblance at all to the original outside of the names of the characters.
Right.
And then, but also, we've got some great actors.
You got phenomenal actors, and you have some great stories and cases to delve into.
Right. But of course, Warner Brothers, the WB, HBO Max always seems to be more obsessed with political statements than they are with actually telling a story the right way. So again, number one, this is not the Perry Mason that your parents watched. This is not Raymond Burr. Although we've got Perry, we've got Della Street, we've got Paul Drake. This is all completely... it should have been a show under a completely different name.
Absolutely.
Then
I would have been fine with one of the storylines.
Which is Della Street.
Being a lesbian.
And they just keep hammering you over the head with it. Over and over. I mean, we go... Now, in the latest episode, season 2, episode 5, we have to go to an underground lesbian party. And I got to tell you, at the beginning, I had to turn the episode off. When she's in bed with her lesbian lover at the beginning and whispers to her, "I love you," I just about threw up in my mouth.
Like, really?
It was badly written. I don't care if it'd been a man and a woman.
It was just done in poor taste.
It was cringe-inducing bad writing is what it was. Cringe-inducing bad writing. And this whole tangent they're going off on, where it seems like every 20 minutes, you got to remember, Della's a lesbian. You better appreciate the fact Della's a lesbian.
They're more focused on her being a lesbian than being a solid legal mind and trying to earn her way into the bar. There's the huge disconnect there.
Oh, and they finally address what I brought up here a week or two ago.
Oh, about her cheating on her girlfriend?
Yeah.
Her living girlfriend and lying about where she's been and doing?
So Della Street is not the awesome, prestigious, self-righteous lesbian champion of justice. She's just another scumbag like everybody else. She's a liar.
Cheater.
She's a liar and a cheater. Paul Drake is the best character of them all.
Oh, Paul Drake is phenomenal.
Chris Chalk is Paul Drake. Another one of these great actors, of course, Matthew Rhys as Perry Mason is a great actor, going back to The Americans on FX.
Yep.
And again, if it wasn't for the fact they are obviously pushing this lesbian storyline on us, is it going to end up tying in to the main storyline? Because otherwise,
yes,
this is an absolute joke.
It's going to come back to haunt them probably in the next episode.
Well, but I was thinking implications on the case in terms of, is her lesbian lover involved? You're talking about
I'm talking about the scandal is going to create.
Right. And of course, back then, because of course, Perry in season 2 is defending a couple of Hispanic men accused of murdering a white guy.
Rich paragon of the community, white guy.
Built a baseball stadium trying to get the Dodgers to come out to LA. So, of course, there are racial implications there. And, of course, they make sure to tell you everybody's intolerant. We get it. We're talking 100 years ago, 90, 100 years ago.
Yeah, this is taking place in the 30s.
Right. So we get it. That was the time frame. I still find it hard to believe that there were wild and crazy lesbian parties going on with hundreds of lesbian women.
It's California. Of course there was.
I'm sorry. They have gone too far with this. And will I continue to watch it? Yes, because again, I respect the other actors. I respect the main thread, the main plot line is a good, solid mystery. But man, I am getting so sick every week. Let's show Della naked and have her be a lesbian. It's just bad, lazy, stupid writing. And I don't like it.
It takes away from what the show actually is.
So thank God we've got Wrestlemania to talk about.
And it's all you, with some pithy comments from me here and there.
Of course, WrestleMania 39, a 2-night event last Saturday and Sunday. Impressive attendance record set at SoFi Stadium. Now, of course, I'm sure there were people that bought 2-day tickets, 2-night tickets, but technically the total attendance, 161,892.
There you go.
I was wrong. I admit it fully. I said, going all the way back to last year, when they paid Cody Rhodes a shit ton of money to jump from AEW, come back to WWE, he was going to be the chosen one. He was going to be the one to end Roman Reigns' 3-year reign on top as the Universal Champion. Now, of course, he had the medical issue, tore his pec. That sidelined him, took him out of the equation for a while. I figured this was going to be it. This was going to be where Cody Rhodes beat Roman Reigns.
And I asked you, are you sure?
I would have bet on it. I literally would have bet on it. And nope. Solo Sikoa, after he gets kicked out by the referee, sneaks back in through the crowd. When Paul Heyman is distracting the referee, Solo gives a Samoan spike to Cody Rhodes. Roman Reigns falls on top of him, gets the 1, 2, 3, and the tribal chief is still your Universal Champion. So that was
until the next.
Well, Raw on Monday night, they told Cody Rhodes no rematch. No rematch.
Oh,
so we'll see.
Bull crap.
We'll see how long that holds up.
Bull crap.
No rematch.
Yeah, right. We've heard that song before, kids.
Now, of course, if you listen to our sports edition in the middle of the week, dropping every Thursday morning, we talked about the business side where WWE has been acquired by the Endeavor Group, who
Which
also owns UFC. So we talked about the implications. I, of course, being the pessimist that I am, worried that when the media rights deals are up in 2024, they're going to go back to the old pay-per-view model. I just want to point out that Peacock carrying WrestleMania, second highest rated, second most viewed event they've ever had outside of the Super Bowl on Peacock. It was
there
up,
you go.
It was in fact up 29% from last year's two-night WrestleMania. So
maybe this is the model that will get the UFC out of the pay-per-view run and potentially stream.
And out of ESPN Plus.
Yeah. Get it away from the rat.
Yep. Other things that happened. Charlotte Flair lost to Rhea Ripley. I saw that coming. I figured it was time for the passing of the torch with the women, at least for the SmackDown title. And I also figured that the Usos would lose after nearly 2 years of them
tag team
losing the tag team to Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Now, nobody likes injuries, whether it's in an actual legitimate sport or in wrestling. You know, they are very physical.
They're athletic.
Right.
They're athletes.
But
you have to be to do the shit that they do and to pull off the moves that they do.
But they bring... It didn't have a lot of the guest stars or the returning wrestlers that you've had in years past. You had George Kittle interject himself at one point, which was just stupid. But Shane McMahon came back.
What rock did he crawl out from under?
Well, I guess now that his dad's back in charge, it's okay for him to... But here's the thing. He comes out to fight The Miz in an impromptu match. And Shane McMahon, within 30 seconds of starting this match, basically falls down and crumples into a ball as he tore the quad off the bone on his leg.
Ouch.
So as much as I hate to admit it, while that was going on, they had to figure out impromptu what to do. And I hate Snoop Dogg. I hate Snoop Dogg. He was he was like a co-host. He took it upon himself. I don't know if somebody whispered in his ear to jump in and beat up on The Miz and do the people's elbow, the old Rock move.
Oh, jeez.
To beat The Miz. So I'll give him credit for being able to perform on the fly like that. Because I literally didn't know, watching it live, what was going on with Shane McMahon. It was only later when I heard about the whole tearing the quad muscle off the bone thing. But I'd seen this happen in the past where Logan Paul supposedly
got hurt,
tore up his knee, and I never really saw it happen last year. He was back and he was fine, so
we'll see. This may take a little longer to recover from.
Yeah. So there you go. That's your WrestleMania 39 recap from the Maestro.
All right.
We're not done yet, though. When we get to our dumbasses, I think we might have one final thing to address when it comes to the WWE. Now, Dave, when we were getting ready, doing our prep work, I had him watch the trailer for Extraction 2.
Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo!
Coming here this summer to Netflix.
Yes.
I have said the first Extraction with Chris Hemsworth was
phenomenal.
One of the greatest action movies I have ever seen.
That was a 4.
That was unbelievable. And the trailer for Extraction 2 looks great. Looks like they have not lost a beat. The Russos still shepherding this whole deal.
Yep, so looking really good there. All right, moments of silence.
Sticking with the WWE, Bushwhacker Butch, of course, of the tag team, the Bushwhackers, passed away. And really a tragic, tragic story. We got hit with some heavy, heavy storms here in the upper Midwest last weekend. The Apollo Theater in Belvedere, Illinois, a heavy metal concert featuring Morbid Angel. I believe one of the opening acts had just wrapped up, had just finished, and they got hit with some of this nasty, nasty weather. The roof collapsed on the theater. The marquee out front collapsed.
Not good.
And of course, when it comes to concerts, Dave and I are all too familiar with the policies, the procedures, the bad weather situations. So thoughts and prayers go out to the family of Fred Livingston Jr., who was I guess thankfully, the only fatality, but still, he was unfortunately caught in the rubble and passed away. So happens too often when it comes to the rock and roll concerts, going all the way back to, you can say Altamont, you can say to the Great White Fire.
Yeah.
In the nightclub where 100 people died roughly, and
the Rolling Stones crowd crush.
The Who in Cincinnati. Yep. So happens way too often when it comes to rock and roll, and I hate to hear it and I hate to see it.
Yep.
So again, thoughts and prayers to the family and friends of Fred Livingston Jr.
Yep. Now, pop culture, we've lost a couple. Judy Farrell, most known for playing Nurse Abel on MASH, the most popular sitcom through the mid 70s through the 80s into the 80s, has passed away. Thoughts and prayers to her family and friends, and also to the family and friends of Sharon Aker, actress who was more popular in the 60s, being in the movie Point Blank.
Great movie.
Great movie with
Lee Marvin
and Angie Dickinson.
Of course, based on the awesome Richard Stark books.
Yep. And then she was also in Perry Mason and also in Star Trek. So some notable shows. So
I did want to bring up one more little movie tidbit before we move on to dumbasses. Now, I talked recently about the fact that Michael Mann put out the book Heat 2.
Yep, I read about this.
Yep, so now Warner Brothers has jumped on. They're going to help finance pre-production on the movie version of Heat 2. And I'm I don't know how I feel about this. They're starting to talk about the casting. And any of you who watch the movie Heat, classic, fantastic,
incredible,
with De Niro, Pacino, Kilmer. They are talking about casting Adam Driver as Neil McCauley, which was De Niro's character, a younger Neil McCauley. Can I just ask you something? And
what the hell is the deal with Adam Driver?
He gets every primo role in Hollywood.
He's not that good.
Thank you. Thank you for validating me, because that's exactly where I was going to go.
So mediocre.
But he gets mentioned for starting with the Star Wars, the last 3 Star Wars movies.
He wasn't good in that.
He gets in every major project.
I'm not impressed with him as an actor. He's very milquetoast.
And he's actually local. He's actually from around here
Yeah,
where
and
we record.
He's not special in any way.
Yeah, I think we talked about this in one of his movies within the last year or so. The other thing that I cannot stand is they act like he's unbelievably handsome. And I'm like, that dude is not that good looking at all. He's got a little weaselly face to him. Sorry. I know he's accomplished more in his life than I ever will, but we reserve the right here on Sports Frenzy to criticize.
We can be judgmental. Deal with it.
Absolutely right.
So.
All right. Now, last week when we did this, we had issues. I kind of rushed through Dumbass or Not, and I didn't really get to, give Dave the chance to judge Dumbass or Not. I just kind of rattled off the dumbasses, and we didn't have a lot of time to actually delve into.
No, because they were pretty self-evident.
So we got 5 this week. Let's see how it goes. Now, we mentioned, number 1, the WWE. We mentioned Vince McMahon coming back in, taking charge again of his company as it was being sold. Now, this is kind of a visual dumbass, but you're going to have to deal with it. You kids will have to look it up, play along at home, Google it.
Kind of what I'm doing right now to make sure I know what's going on.
You got to take a look at Vince McMahon in the press conference announcing the purchase of the WWE by Endeavor. He looks like he is getting ready to tie a woman to railroad tracks in an old black and white movie.
What the hell is with the porn stash?
He's got slick back hair now. His new look, slicked back hair, and this razor-thin mustache.
Snidely Whiplash
there you go.
Has come back from the dead.
I don't know if you can be a dumbass for having a look like that, but you be the judge.
Dude's
Dave.
a dumbass for thinking he can pull it off. He can't.
No, it's
I know he's trying to redo his image. He's not helping himself in any way with this one.
It's a terrible look for him. All right, next dumbass or not, Harry Potter.
Shave the chipmunk off your face.
Not Harry Potter, Vince McMahon.
Yes.
Okay, we've talked about the fact we don't like remakes, redos. We talked recently about Vertigo and how is that one of those movies that you shouldn't touch. Here's the thing I can't figure out. HBO Max is talking about a Harry Potter television series.
Yeah, I read this.
Where they're going to go back and redo. They're planning on 7 seasons based on the 7 books.
So basically, they're going to take their 2+ hour movie and expand on it for 8 to 10 episodes.
Right.
Which will allow them to delve deeper into what was missed from the books. It's a frickin' money grab from Warner Brothers.
Again, it's a lack of creativity.
Yeah.
Why are we redoing something that was just recently done in movie theaters?
It's been a while.
Well, I guess the passage of time is messing with my mind because to me, it's way too soon to be doing something like this.
Yeah. Let's go on while I put this in context.
All right. The Build-A-Bear Workshop. Yes, you've got one in your mall, wherever you live. The Build-A-Bear Workshop. I did not, number one, realize that if you go online, they actually have an adults-only area on their website.
Who does?
The Build-A-Bear. I'm not kidding you.
God.
I am not kidding. Now, I have not gone there. I'm just reporting. But what got
2001, me, sorry. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone movie came out.
The first one.
The first one.
So it's only been 22 years since the first one came out. All right, Build-A-Bear has now decided that they're going to offer a RuPaul drag bear.
Oh, God.
But like I said, this was initially what shocked me, was that they are going to do a RuPaul drag bear. Then I hear, well, they already have an adults only section on their website. And I'm thinking, what the hell has that got in it? Have you got teddy bears with strap-ons? I mean, what is this world coming to when you can't even have a nice, simple, innocent teddy bear workshop? You know, where kids can just innocently create their own teddy bear, put the simple, nice clothes on them, suspenders,
They've got
maybe
adult clothing, which is just Build-A-Bear pajamas and T-shirts and whatnot. I'm trying to see what we got.
And I apologize for the background noise. Of course, we've got issues here in the studio where all of a sudden I've got plumbing issues, and it has to happen right in the middle of the final segment here on the weekend edition.
Go figure. But that's all right.
All right, I am bitter. Now, everybody knows one of my favorite rock bands of all time is the Cars. Love the Cars. My man here for Christmas one year found a book on the Cars, gave it to me for Christmas, one of the best gifts I've ever gotten. I am not a fan of Paulina Poroskova. Of course, Paulina Poroskova was the supermodel who married Rick Ocasek, the leader of the Cars. And they were married for quite a long time now. Of course, Rick Ocasek passed away. I think we're looking at 3 years ago, maybe 3 years ago at least. Well, she's now coming out and saying that Rick Ocasek left her destitute. Rick Ocasek set her up to fail financially. Rick Ocasek is the reason why she can barely afford to buy groceries. I'm sorry, I can't feel sorry for a supermodel because she never learned how to manage her finances. I cannot feel sympathy. Think about Giselle.
She's got more money.
This would be like Giselle saying, Tom Brady ruined my life because he left me destitute. No, Giselle, like you were about to say,
makes more money than him. I'm sorry. She has been a model. She's been front and center of a lot of things for a long time. Maybe he didn't leave her anything, but she sure as hell has had to have made money on her own over the years.
That's my point, yeah. And she's saying, I never learned how to manage money. Whose fault is that? That's your fault. That's not Rick Ocasek's fault. Yeah, he probably had to step in at some point and say, let me help you, because obviously you don't know what the hell you're doing. But the worst part of this is, and I've said this in multiple occasions in the past with other people, don't disparage the dead. Don't disparage people who cannot defend themselves. That is the cheapest, most disgusting thing you can do, is insult and disparage the dead.
Yep, it's too easy to do.
Because they cannot defend themselves. Finally, shame on Anheuser-Busch. Now they are woke. They created a special 365 Days of Girlhood can for trans activist Dylan Mulvaney. Because I guess he, she, it had been through a year of claiming that they had shifted gender or whatever.
So
they make special cans, not going out to the public, but for Dylan Mulvaney.
Oh, God.
Here's the cool part, though. That to me, I think, if you agree, is dumbass. But Kid Rock recently posted a video after hearing this story of him shooting Bud Light cans with basically saying, fuck Anheuser-Busch.
There you go.
He's a conquistador.
He's the maestro.
Thanks for hanging out with us on the weekend edition. More coming in 7 days, kids. We will talk to you then.